Alright, it is 9:27 a.m. December the 3rd, and this is a Friday. Unfortunately, it might be a thing. I guess I'll do a little check on Monday, but I'm going to assume that it's probably true, and OTCs are going to be no longer commission-free trading, at least on Schwab, but maybe I can make an account with Fidelity. I already have an account, but maybe I can move money there. I just don't like the way the platform is, but it's gonna be worth it because then I'm not gonna have to trade very large size, or maybe at the same time I should push myself and trade super large size on morning panic bounce plays or OTC setups that look super profitable, not like the recent morning panic bounce plays that don't offer much movement, but like some of the recent ones lately, something that can offer a lot more range. And this one is trying to have a third green day, at least so far, which is ideal because if it can do that, it can be a morning panic bounce play on Monday or sometime in the future. This is going to be something I'd rather see uptrend. I wouldn't want to trade this for a morning panic bounce play unless it looks just stupid clean. I'd rather not because it's only up, in theory today, the third day. So after that, it's in. But, if it's just up 2 green days, it's not. It just doesn't seem to work as well as when they normally do. As for the other ones, I will consider morning panic bounce plays if they look clean. This one's another run or two. Let's see if it can have 3 green days in a row. It probably won't, but maybe it does. And that would be super nice. That's what I'm looking for right now, and I will look at listed stocks, but again, I'm going to prioritize that, these OTCs right now. Alright, it is 9:51, and of all the stocks that I traded LKNCY, but before I go there, I just want to go over some setups I didn't actually take. Now, I didn't want this. I wanted this thing to have another green day, so it could be something that I could trade for a morning panic bounce play that is more reliable in terms of if the setup's going to work or not in the future, because it has 3 green days. But this isn't it, although it can try to turn around and do something, and it can consolidate perhaps and do something later. But this is the main one, OWUV, and then this one's like it's like a runner-up. It's not the leader. This one's the leader. So it did do turnarounds, but it was just so ugly the way it traded it, so I never really got a part of it. And again, because it was only up 2 days, I was less hesitant on taking a trade, and it did do this move here from 15.5 to 16.5, but I don't like this jumbly mess, how ugly it was looking. The one thing this thing did have in favor, at least down here, VWAP was not extremely close to it, so that offered some opportunity. But I was very close to trading TGHI because it came back here, and then it was like a double bottom off of this level, and then because this one's the leader, it looked like it was trying to work and do a morning panic bounce play. So I thought, alright, well, since this one kind of lags behind, why don't I take a trade with this one? And because it's doing it with OWUV, I can be long. It's almost like I know the future, right? If it's not the same stock, I'm looking at the leader that it's following. So I did consider it when this thing was looking like it was going to make a move, but then this red candle threw me off. I just didn't like the way that looked. And TGHI did do a bounce from this 33 level to 36, which is a lot of range on this type of stock. I'm going to guess the float is very small. But then again, that other red candle with OWUV didn't look nice, so this would have been kind of hard to make money with. AABB, I never saw it until here that, hey, this thing actually kind of looks like a morning panic bounce play. This is how AABB tends to do a morning panic bounce play, but the daily chart isn't nice, and it probably wasn't on my radar because it's not offering a lot of range, or maybe it's just because it was up on the day initially compared to the previous day. No, that's not the case there. CYBL did do a morning panic bounce play, if you want to call it that. I don't call it that. I call it spaghetti monster, the way it kind of traded all back and forth with a large spread. I think I did actually try to place an order. No, I didn't. I didn't like it because they did not want to let go of the ask at 22. They kept the ask really high up, which is desperate price action, but they were able to do something out of it. I just never liked the way this one traded. And I guess let's go over my OWUV attempted buy. That was at 1541, 936. That wasn't executed. It was right here. You know, right at the bottom. It just looked like a level 2 turnaround was gonna play around in. I mean, it did kind of do it. It went to 16, right? But yeah, it was just trading all jumbly. Pretty jumbly. It can do something. I obviously can, but you know, I wouldn't be that interested in it. Although this thing can very well try to do something here because it's like now a triple bottom, right? And the bounce, the second bounce it had here was higher than here, so it shows strength, especially if it doesn't, you know, make a wick right where these candles are. This thing can very well turn around. I'm not really that good on setups like this, especially this one only up 2 days, but I'll make an update. Maybe this one can do something. Maybe I can trade something here with small size. I might consider it actually, even though it's not a setup I'm that familiar with. And I'll go over my LKNCY trade later. Okay, I didn't take any trades with OWUV, but it could try to do something. I just don't like how there were so many people at 16 and there was just a wide spread between 16 and the other level. And so, you know, I didn't take the trade, and it also looked like a head and shoulders when I started to look at it more. Shoulder, head, shoulder. I'd probably be more interested in taking a buy now in the low 15s, but they're still doing that spread because they're just really desperate, not trying to let it go down by not letting the ask go down close to this level but holding it at 16. And because there is that spread, you know, if it was maybe 15.5 by 15.7, I'd hit 15.7, but because we're at 16 and there's that wall of bidders here, sure, but that spread isn't nice. Somebody got in at 15.99. It could try to turn around, obviously. You know, shoulder, head, shoulder. Sometimes when this pattern plays out, it only gets to the neckline, which in theory it's trying to play off of that 15.3 level, 15.53, and then it could try to turn around. This might be the turnaround. I just don't like how this thing is trading with a spread. I'll make an update later. If it tries to look better, I might be interested in buying this. Okay, I did not get in the trade, but I did actually consider just a tiny 500 shares because of how sketchy this one can be. If it breaks 15, literally can flash a nasty red candle like this, but I feel like this has a really good chance this can hit towards VWAP and try to turn around the rest of the day. I did try to place an order at 10.05 right here, but I was barely in it. And mind you, this thing is trading with a spread like 15.8 by, well, as you can see right now, it kind of has that spread, but I did throw in a buy, which was in the middle between the bid and the ask. It wasn't on either side. At 15.7, maybe I had it for 3 seconds and then I got out because I thought, you know what, maybe this won't work. And then I placed it again because it was starting to look a little better the next minute, and then I got out again. I just, you know, just kind of thrown off. Now, this isn't a setup I'm that familiar with that I trade that much, but if I see this one can work out and maybe other ones in the future, I'll be more interested and more inclined to trade it just because it's something that I see it successfully do multiple times. But I have a, you know, I have a theory that it can totally do it, but if it doesn't, it's going to flash a big nasty red candle, and that might be very hard to sell into. Now let's go over LKNCY, right when it looks like it might do an inverse head and shoulders. Yeah, I'll be back. I don't want to miss a setup. Maybe it can do inverse head and shoulders here. Maybe. Alright, it is 10:15. I'm still on this trade and I just have a tiny position left, 5 shares. So it is an inverse head and shoulders, not a perfect one. Shoulder, head, and then shoulder. It never really got to 1250. There was support at 1251 and 1250 and it held it. And let's see, my buy was right here, 1010. Right here, 1010. And I did sell half for a slight loss at 10:13 because you know I like setups immediately working, and this one wasn't working. It took some time, and I didn't want to be full sized and have to cut losses. So then I sold 5 more shares at 12.57. That was at 10:14 when it looked like it was starting to work. Now I have 5 shares left. What I'm gonna do is probably maybe sell at the goal, which will be VWAP, or maybe if it gets just right under it, if it's not strong enough, or maybe it can be something I can hold for a longer period. It can totally try to turn around here. As you can see, the last time I did something like that, this thing was a wick, and it can, you know, like do something very nice throughout the rest of the day. And then if it cuts this 1250 level, if it breaks under it, yeah, I'm totally getting out of this position. And my first trade with LKNCY, I was in 20 shares as well, 944, and that was this first one right here, just because it looked so clean, the downtrend, you know. I was at 944 long, 20 shares at 1287, which was right here at the bottom. I actually bottom ticked it. And then I sold 5 shares at $13 the same minute, 944. You can see how like a crazy immediate spike. I haven't seen that in a while on the OTC. I never like it when it happens. I probably should have tried to sell more shares, because whenever it does that, I just don't like it. You know, it just seems kind of weak, very manipulative. 946. I sold 10 more shares, which was half my original position at 1294, just because it wasn't looking that nice anymore. And then I did sell my last 5 shares at 1291 or 1290, basically at 947, just because it looked like it was going to break the support level that I was playing off of 1287, which it did. I did do a nice sell there. And then I, you know, was looking at OWUV. This thing came back. I'll keep watching LKNCY, but I'd like to sell into VWAP, which is 1283. You might even do something much greater, because you can see last time it had a wick all the way, you know, back to where it was. And this is a 15-minute chart, not a daily chart. It can offer something. I could also just be damn greedy, and this could be the very top, and I'm just being an idiot, not selling the last 5 shares. Actually, since I can't do this anymore with Schwab, let me just sell 2 shares right here. There we go. You know, since it's gonna cost $6.95 for every execution, I might as well milk this, you know, while I still can, if that's gonna be the case. I have just 3 shares left, just in case this is a tippy top. And then no, I sold 2 shares. Yeah, 2 shares in case this is the tippy top. And then if it actually breaks 1250, I'll be out my last 3 shares, and that's fine. That's where I'm at. I'll make an update later to see what this one does, and if it gets towards VWAP, I'll be very interested in selling. It might even get to like 1340 or something, or try to go green on the day, but I'll be happy if I just sell the last shares right there at VWAP, or if it breaks under, so be it. Alright, it is 10:23, and like a genius, I sold right before this crazy downtrend at 1255. I sold my last 2 shares at 126675. That was 10:23 this very minute. Why? Because I decided to put a baby new risk level right here, instead of, you know, being like, you know, just all in or all out. No, I'm just gonna risk this right here, move my risk level here. If it breaks it, clearly it's not gonna make a move towards VWAP, and I'll be out. Of course, this thing can just be a you know, just a momentary dip with a lot of size, and then it tries to come back and do something, sure. But in theory, what I was thinking, okay, if it gets under 1267, I'll be very interested in getting out. It can still do it, but I think it's just less likely if it breaks under this little range that it was consolidating for a few minutes. So when it did that, which was very quick, maybe a few seconds after I had that idea, it was like 1265 by 1270, and I thought, alright, yeah, it's time to get out. And I did get out my last 2 shares. Yes, I did cheat. I had 3 shares, but I sold one at 1273 at right here, 1022 right here, and that was it. So now I think I'm up like $2 just trading this thing. And you know, it's a listed stock, not a listed stock, wow, this thing is a high priced OTC, so they're kind of sketchy the way they trade. At least to me, I'm just not as comfortable trading these higher priced OTCs compared to like a 2 share 2 cent, you know, penny stock. So I was just very cautious the way I traded it here. Let's just go ahead and go over my my dollar risk level, which I think I traded $15 risk levels instead of 30 because it's a high priced OTC. It's not too ideal. But going over the first one, I was in, I think, 20 shares at 1287, and that was way back at 944. So let's look at 944 right here. 1287 was my entry, right? 1287, 20 shares. In theory at the time, it was trying to hold this same exact level, 1287, and I did actually get an entry right at the bottom, so I'm playing off of the same level that I'm risking. If it were to have broken that, I would have been interested in selling, and at the time it was trying to hold, I believe. No, I think the fact that it just broke under 13 and it looked like it was going to immediately turn around was why I was interested in it, I think, because I don't see anything significant. Actually, no, yeah, I remember now. There was support here playing off of this level that it could have held, and then also this 1250 level as well, just slightly above the 1250 level there, and then that was pretty much support and resistance back there. So I was playing off of that level for that reason. Again, I was in at the level I was risking, which is not something that happens actually. So 1287, worst case in my mind, it breaks, and then there's huge slippage, and I think I get out at 12. 257 becomes 240. So yeah, I was playing pretty close to a $15 risk level. I wasn't doing 30 because this thing again is a high priced OTC. I'll do a $30 risk level, or at least I was, if I can't trade these things with Schwab anymore because of commissions. A $30 risk level, but only if it's like a lower price OTC. This one was high, so I was playing basically a $15 risk level, and it kind of worked out. I didn't really do that much. And then when I was in it here, I was in this one at 20 shares at let's just say 1253, right? Same size, 1253, and that was at 1010. So right here, 1010, 1253, 20 shares. In theory, it breaks, this 1251 support that it was holding off of, and 1250, and I get out at 12 again. So 240, 250. I was trading an $8 risk level. I was going back to what I was doing previously, which was a $15 risk level on morning panic bounce plays on OTCs, and $8 for everything else. Recently I was doing $30 on the morning panic bounce play, and then $15 for everything else. But I lowered it to that previous dollar risk level for that reason, again being a higher priced OTC. I'll make an update to see what this one does eventually. TGHI is trying to do a turnaround, maybe an 11 a.m. reversal, but it was only up one day. OWUB did actually do that thing I was thinking about. It just took forever and it looked ugly the whole entire time. But I'm glad it did something. Could have played off of that, bottom that day low 15, and could have been an entry. It did do a run up to 17. I guess 15 and a half to what, 17 and a half. So that's like, I don't know, that's like a 13% move, which would have been hard to sell into because it looked like it only just had one candle like that, and then here it was trading with a desperate spread, which in this case didn't help it turn around. They just kind of downtrended a little. As for the other ones, AABB keeps fading. Yeah, this one was just ugly. If it looked nicer, I would have traded that one probably. That's all I have. I think I learned a lot. I only made a small amount of money, I think $2, but that's totally fine. And yeah, I'll make an update later. Maybe there's some other OTC I haven't seen that's running today, or some listed stock that I can potentially try and inverse head and shoulders. I am trying to be cautious because it is Friday. most likely red on the Friday than any other day of the week, so I'll have that in mind. But I think I learned a lot, despite not really making that much money on LKNCY. You know, it just wasn't a turnaround here. It did it eventually here, which was nice, from 1250 to 1287. Again, not much range being a higher priced OTC. And then this thing right here did offer something, and I actually sold well into that. And this thing can try to consolidate and maybe go to $13. There's no reason why it can't. It could also fail, but I doubt it. You know, I just really doubt it. I really doubt it. For it to just have this crazy sell and then try to breathe a little and then break more, I mean, I guess it's possible, but it just doesn't seem that likely. It can go either direction. If you just trade your dollar risk level, you know, you're in a trade. I'll make an update later. Alright, it is 11:51. I didn't like any of the list of stocks that were running. I didn't take a trade, but I was actually watching this for a potential inverse head and shoulders with SPY. Shoulder and then head here and then the shoulder, but I was just watching it. Something was just kind of iffy about the price action, and I was very hesitant on trading this. It was going to be a $4 risk level in theory, but we just had a lot of volume here and it just broke the day low. It could still try to turn around and be the shoulder, head, shoulder. And then if we look at a 15-day, you know, the support here from the previous downtrend. So, you know, it's not like it's not going to break it. It's just less likely going to break it. This thing can turn around right here. It could be like an inexact inverse head and shoulder, head, shoulder, except that it just cracked the head a little bit with some panic sellers, but now it's going to turn around and do something super nice. That could also happen. But the thing is that maybe I try to take a trade here and then it keeps heading lower and it plays off of this level instead, which would be just some kind of random double bottom dip buy, which, you know, I like something that has a bit more foundation, like an inverse head and shoulders, because it's also like a higher low setup at the same time, and sometimes it's also a trend break. So, you know, this thing can totally turn around. I just don't see it. As for the other ones, this one did break even lower, although it did do that move there that I was thinking about, but that wasn't really easy to sell into. AABB keeps fading. It actually broke this level right here, it seems like, at 15.4 from right here, and that made this thing look pretty sad. LKNCY, yeah, it did like a little baby dip, and then it came back again a little, not as high as it did, and then it made a low. It broke under this level right here, but it held support. Another setup there. It's just not much range being a high priced OTC. Nothing with TGGI, CYBL. I just don't like the way it traded there. If it were to have looked nicer, I would have been in it. IOUS, nothing here really. Let's see if this thing can turn around. It totally can just be an imperfect inverse head and shoulders, but I'm just, you know, hesitant, unlike the other time I traded SPY, because it could also try to play off of this level, which would mean it would head a dollar lower, and that would, you know, that would be just something less of an ideal setup. Alright, just a small update. It is 12:42 p.m. and it did play off of this level, but it did, I think, yes, it broke briefly under it, and the volume was kind of low. I just did not really want to trade it because it was going to be the head of a potential inverse head and shoulders, and it did play out. It offered a move from 450 to 452, which is nothing, but you think about that, this is the S&P, you know, this is SPY. You can trade a whole crap ton of money, which isn't my goal, obviously, but I did call this play here. I was just a little hesitant trading it because I was not successful trading the inverse head and shoulders head of another listed stock setup, but this one actually worked out. And then I was actually interested in the inverse head and shoulders, shoulder, head, and then shoulder right here. And the thing was that I had it at 451.32. I kind of hesitated a little. I didn't think it would just turn around like this. You know, this was a very quick turnaround, and it did exactly that. 451 now at 452, and you know, maybe it can get towards VWAP. I'm gonna guess it won't because it hasn't on a lot of these inverse head and shoulder setups under VWAP. They don't really work under VWAP. And also, I didn't like how it tried here, maybe shoulder, head, and then it just failed here. So I wasn't, you know, because I was looking at it previously, that interested in trading it because it failed once, right? That's something I learned from the other listed stock setups, but I'm glad that it actually did offer something. Even this right here, which was a bit quick, but I don't think it will get towards VWAP. It almost looks like a head and shoulders now, shoulder, head, right? So it could be a short setup right here, but I think that's at that point it's a bit degenerate. But yeah, that was the idea there. I don't think I'll make any more updates until the market is closed, and we'll see how this one does eventually. I was pretty right on the setups. If I keep being more right on the setups, I'm gonna be more more interested, more quick to jump in and trade it again. But I'm glad this thing is offering something. And after this head drops, it can be a inverse head and shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder, second high or low setup too. And I like how it's just playing near the bottoms and how ugly it looks, but it's just playing off of that bottom level right there, which gives it like a lot of support. Not saying it won't break it, but it's just less likely. Alright, it is 6:31 p.m. and I am here to call it off. I ended up, I made like $2.31 trading LKNCY, which actually didn't really, it offered some movement, and I traded it here, the first dip it had, and then I didn't trade this one, and then I traded this one, and I actually did do a nice sell. I think I might have even have top ticked it. 1273 till actually no, I got a bit higher to 1285, but I still managed to do some nice. Wait, was it right here? No, this was it. This is where I sold. I missed this one. I didn't want to trade this one. I wanted this to inverse head and shoulders. The top price was 1276. I had one share that sold at 1273, so almost top ticked it. It did eventually fail, and it actually got a bit volatile here, and it just kind of broke down even further. So yeah, that's a pretty significant red day. Kind of impressive that it just broke further, but it did it, and it does look massive now on a daily chart because it did something like that. OWUV was that setup that I was interested in, and it did do something, but again, I don't want to go over it for the 15th time. It just wasn't really that nice, and TGHI was much worse. And CYBL, again, crappy morning panic bounce play, I guess. AABB held itself, I guess, by the end of the day. And I did miss trading SPY a few times. It did do this right here where it just briefly broke under the other day's range, and it offered one bounce right here, and that did offer a move. It even did the inverse head and shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder. Second higher low worked to, yeah, I'm pretty salty that I missed it, and it worked here and here. This was quick, and then I didn't want to really trade here because it got super close to this level, but it actually offered a move there too. And because it is SPY and it's a high priced stock, at least it's not very hard to cut or to get in and out. There's so much, it's almost trading in slow motion if you ask me, but very cool that it did offer something. And I'm going to keep trying to trade these things more profitably as I keep getting more experience. Again, I'm normally an OTC trader, but I'm going to have to be considering these listed stock setups, which I like inverse head and shoulders the most. And that's just going to be a part of the thing, because again, if it's going to be commissions on Schwab, I'm going to have to also get good at listed stocks, and I might consider a Fidelity account. Again, I just don't like how you can't really, at least I can't see an estimated cost of a position before I place a trade, so I can figure out what's my dollar risk level. So that's all I have. I'm going to call it off right here. I'm glad I didn't lose anything, because again, Friday is the day I normally lose money, and I've had a lot of good trades, a lot of interesting trades, maybe not very profitable in terms of how much dollar volume I traded, especially with the SPY trade, but yeah, it could be much worse. I still learned a lot. I'm happy that I learned so much, having more trading experience, trading LKNCY, even though that was just $2 of profits. That was a lot of good learning there. And yeah, let's see if commissions are going to be a thing starting Monday.